Hey everybody, I am so excited to have one of my wonderful friends here who is not only an incredible Facebook ad expert, but we're actually like real life friends. Like, this is amazing on the internet.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like it's so rare. And I want to tell the backstory of how we met because it's like just explains like how nerdy cool we are, I think. So there was this active campaign event here, which email marketing, I love. And of course, if other email marketers were going to be there, I wanted to go hang out too. And I went for only the half day. I went for like the second half of the day. Leah was there for the full day. I was like the only person who came in like partway through the day who wanted to do just the second half. So I was like the awkward person who was like, where am I going to sit? I don't know anyone. And luckily I got sat next to the best person I could ever hope to meet in that whole room. And it was Leah. So that was so awesome. That
Mm.
active campaign brought us together.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the conference was great, but yeah, getting a connection out of it was definitely more than I was expecting.
Totally. And as soon as you talked about ads, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
we
my
definitely we stayed like at least a good hour after that conference chatting, I think. So, yeah, it was
totally.
good.
And for those who don't know Leah, she is a behind the scenes master, very much like me. She is amazing at ads. She actually worked for the country's biggest Facebook ad agency. She's like been the person like going behind, analyzing everything, like putting all the pieces together of like why this worked, why that didn't, if this worked, that would work too. Let's test this. And all of that sort of stuff is just compacted into her incredible like experience and knowledge. She's legit Facebook certified when it comes to ads, and she's actually coming out with her own certification for people who want to be professional Facebook ad marketers. So I'm really grateful that she's coming here to drop some of her amazing knowledge bombs. So, my friend, you want to introduce yourself a little bit more? Is there something else that I missed? I know that I just gave a little bit.
Sure, yeah, that was an awesome intro. Thank you. Yeah, so I've been working in digital marketing for 9 years now. Started out at a nonprofit, worked for an agency, then I went out on my own freelance for a bit. Then worked for Canada's #1 Facebook advertiser as a data analyst, and now for the past 2 years, I've been specializing in just Facebook ads. So I work with a pretty wide array of clients, everything from lead generation to app installs to e-commerce to online courses. So yeah.
That's awesome. And there is so much just in ads itself. Like I know why you specialize in it because Facebook ads are constantly changing as well. They are really complex. So I love that you're going to share some of your tips today, specifically around courses, because I feel like that's what a lot of us are looking to talk about. So I know that we talked about a few different things that we wanted to jam on. And the first one we want to talk about is the biggest mistake that program creators are making when it comes to their Facebook ads.
Yeah, so something I see a lot of people doing when they launch programs is that they expect that their ads are going to do most of the heavy lifting when they during their launch. But it's you're going to make your launch so much more effective if you're running ads year round, even when you're not launching. You're focusing on building those warm audiences, because what's going to happen is you're going to grow your email list, you're going to grow your Facebook fans, your Instagram followers, and those warm audiences are going to be so much more likely to buy from you when the time comes. And another thing it does is when you have these warm audiences, you can use those to create lookalike audiences. So it just gives Facebook so much more data that they can work with when you're actually ready to launch.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And
Mhm.
so what is a lookalike audience for some people who that might just be like next level for where they're at right now?
Yeah, yeah. So a lookalike audience is an audience, it's a cold audience, so someone that's never heard of you before, and it's automatically generated by Facebook's machine learning algorithms. So what they do is, because Facebook has so much data on all of us,
Oh my gosh, it's
including
crazy.
your browsing habits, the things you're buying online. It knows how much you're spending on certain products. It knows what blogs you read. And what it does is, when it creates a lookalike audience, is it finds, so first you upload a seed audience. So this is maybe your email list. And then Facebook takes all of those people and it finds what are the factors that they have in common, and that's the lookalike audience. So it is a lookalike of a warm audience that you already have. And in my experience, lookalike audiences tend to be the most powerful and effective audiences, especially for online course creators.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And I love that you brought up lead generation all year long. I tell people all the time, it's a year-round thing that we have to be doing because
Mm-hmm.
also too, it's like there when you really like analyze the data, and I know that for a lot of us, that isn't the fun part. Like you had the experience that a lot of people don't have, but when you look at the trends of people, there's obvious like always a huge portion of buyers who they had been in your world for a while. They didn't just join your list and they're like, here's a stack of money. I want to join your course. They've actually been in
Mm-hmm.
your ecosystem for a while, and you've been nurturing them and giving them awesome advice and all this sort of stuff. So you only get that traction if you are actually out there, building that audience all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And Facebook actually has a campaign type or an objective type called lead generation, and it puts a lead generation form right in Facebook too. So it makes it super easy to collect email addresses because it creates a form right in Facebook that's automatically populated with that user's email address. So it makes it super easy. It's literally 2 clicks and you've got their email. So it's super easy to set up. You don't even need a landing page.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Have,
so
have you
that's,
used that much?
sorry?
Have you used that much?
Yeah, I actually have. I've used it a ton. Yeah, and it's really good. The only thing you kind of need to watch out for with the lead generation campaigns is that sometimes it's so easy that you might find that people are submitting it on accident, or you're getting leads that are less qualified.
Okay.
But you can weed this out you can add in an extra step, a review process in the lead generation form. And that kind of helps it gives people an extra chance to confirm that they want to actually submit it. And that can help. Or if you're noticing your leads aren't as qualified, you can always change up your targeting or your messaging, and just do some testing with that.
That's great. I love that tip about the putting in the extra steps so that way you're not getting people who,
Mm-hmm.
because it is easy to click and you want
It
to get
is.
people that are really like, yeah, qualified.
Yeah, especially if someone's not very tech savvy and they're trying to get out of it, or it could be easy to just submit it on accident. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
that's really good, the tip about tech savvy. So if your audience isn't super tech savvy, that can be definitely something to consider is like how easy is it for them? Sometimes it's almost too easy where they can
True.
make that mistake. So always think about like, who's my audience? Like if my grandma was on Facebook or the Facebooks as she calls it, like I don't even know what you would be clicking on, but it would get a little wild.
Yeah, yeah. Something else that I would recommend for course creators in their off time when they're not launching is a video views campaign, especially if your course is in video format, it's going to be you teaching. You can create a bunch of videos that are maybe like mini versions of your course, or maybe even take pieces of your course and put them into a video views campaign. And that way people are seeing you, getting more familiar with you, and yeah, you can actually learn a lot from this type of campaign. You could learn which types of videos are more popular, what types of messaging, and so you're building your warm audiences and also getting really good data too.
Yeah, and for everyone who hasn't followed Leah yet, on her Instagram is Leah at Loop, and you should look at her videos. So she's using this all the time. I know she puts a video,
Yeah,
it's every week you release a video, right?
yeah, every Wednesday usually.
They're great. They're only like 1 or 2 minutes long. So like, they're really concentrated and great information. And I think just looking at how she does things will be so helpful for you because you're going to realize I think you have the bar at the top, right? Like with the
Hmm.
headline,
Yeah.
and you have the caption at the bottom. So people
Hmm.
can still watch it on silent mode and get everything that you're saying.
Yeah. Captions are definitely super important in Facebook ads because a significant percentage of people watch without sound. So it's really great to have those.
Yeah, and I use that all the time when I'm working with clients as well. I get them to do those video view campaigns, and oh, they're
Hmm.
amazing, amazing information. And I
Yeah.
love the tie-in where if you have a video course, use video because then at least you're getting people also who are attracted to that particular learning
Exactly.
style.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. And then you can create custom audiences in Facebook based on people who've watched a certain percentage of your video, which is really cool. So then you can remarket to them with maybe your opt-in or your course launch or whatever. So yeah.
And so there was this crazy thing that happened to me the other day that Leah and I talked about. So I've had this cold, this cough that will not stop. And I was hoping like I'm going to get through this live without coughing. I got targeted for something that I was like, why am I getting targeted for this? So I checked to see what the targeting was, and the interest was listed as cough. I hadn't talked about it on Facebook. I hadn't made a post about it, like nothing, nada, nada. But the reason the Facebook pixel is living on all of these websites. So even though I wasn't on Facebook and I was still Googling things, that pixel was still talking to Facebook, being like, hey, Facebook, she's coughing. If you want to put an ad out to her, this is what you want. So that shows you like how crazy amazing the targeting is. And they were able to remarket to me based off of something that I just happened to Google at 3 in the morning because I
Hmm.
couldn't stop coughing.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people, especially if they're not in our world of online marketing, they think that maybe Facebook interest targeting is based on the pages they've liked or things they've liked specifically on Facebook. But the
Yeah.
Facebook pixel is installed on over 3 million websites across the web. So Facebook is watching you like all over the internet. So
Yeah. You can't
it
escape
knows.
Big Blue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think we might have talked, we sort of like touched on, I think, where we're going next. Because what we want to talk about next is we are thinking about how to take people from that ice cold, like never heard of you, like you were saying, like no one's heard of Leah, and then bringing them through to the point where they're actually going to buy something. So how would you
Hmm.
make this beautiful, like gentle transition using ads?
Yeah, yeah. So I always separate my campaigns out based on where the person is in the funnel, where your audience is in the funnel. So you've got your cold audiences, which could be a lookalike audience or interest targeting. These are basically people that have never heard of you. They don't know anything about you. And it's really important to make sure that your messaging matches that person's level of awareness. So making sure that if they're a cold audience, you need to educate them a bit more. They don't know who you are, they don't know how you can help them. And so building trust and giving them information is what's really important at the top of the funnel or the cold audience.
Oh, so
Yeah.
good. I'm just
And
hearing.
then you move down into your warm audiences. So you've got people who like you on Facebook, maybe follow you on Instagram, people who have watched your videos, like we were talking about with the video views campaign, your email list. These people need a different message than the cold audience. They already know who you are, but maybe they probably need to know more about the course, or your messaging is going to be different there.
Maybe about like the pain
Hmm.
as well, like because now they're like, okay,
Yeah.
they have a problem, they know that they have this problem, but they don't know the product that's going to solve it. So you can't be like, buy my course, because they're like, what? Whereas if you're like, hey, I know that you're really struggling with coughing or whatever it is, you've been trying to
Hmm.
crochet those little, rabbits, but you can't, because I couldn't. There's no way I could do that. But yeah, I think the messaging, oh gosh, is so important. And I love how you like step people down through that message.
Yeah, yeah. And then you have like the bottom of the funnel, which is where people they're a little more interested. Maybe they visited your sales page, and at that point, your messaging needs to be more about overcoming objections. So you can talk to people and find out what common objections are. Why aren't they buying your course? How does it compare to your competitors or other options that are out there for them? So this is where you can really push the more kind of sales messaging.
And I think a lot of people forget that like ads are actually, you can actually use ads as a funnel by itself, where you
Totally.
can take
Yeah.
people and like, just gently bring them down instead of being like, okay, ad, now email, and just like have them this just disjointed thing where you
Yeah.
actually, like you say, take them through and show them ads that make sense for wherever they are in this funnel. Then it's like you can move them to the next step
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's really important to take advantage of Facebook's exclusions because then you can be excluding, you should always be excluding your warm audiences from cold audience campaigns. You should always be excluding your purchasers, things like that, so that you can make sure that the messaging is really only being shown to who you want to see it.
Yes, that's huge. So that way it's like you don't want to be mixing messages, and it's like you don't want to be having sales ads to someone who's just met you. It's like you are being super specific by being like, no, you are just seeing these ads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
It's really powerful.
Yes.
So I know that we also wanted to talk about, and this is so beautiful. This whole conversation was gone because we're just like going to the next step. We were talking about the ads that really make the money. And of course, it only works. You can't do this if you didn't do the other parts. You had to have all the other pieces in place before this ad works. But oh my God, it can work so freaking well. And that is what I like to call the make it rain money ad. What can you tell us about this special elusive ad that everyone really, really, really wants?
Yeah, so this is the retargeting ad. So this is once someone has visited your sales page, maybe they've even added to their carts, but then they don't actually make the purchase. So this is where your tracking is super, super important, that you have your pixel events tracking all the way through so that you know you can create custom audiences based on people that have maybe initiated checkout, added to carts, and then excluding your purchasers. Yeah, and this is super important because people do get distracted, and sometimes they mean to make a purchase and then they forget, or they're unsure. They're still kind of on the fence, and those are your hottest audiences. They're super interested and often just need a little bit more convincing to take the plunge and make that purchase.
Yeah, that's so true. I've seen that over and over again. And I think the last stats that I saw were something like 75% of people, like if you reach out to them after they've been to your page and like initiated checkout, if you follow up with them, whether that's like a message or an ad, like 75% of them will buy if they've actually initiated checkout, which is insane. And of course, that's probably a very small section of, I don't remember exactly where that stat came from, but like I've seen very similar messages over and over again. And I've seen that in so many courses that I've helped launch, just that one ad from people who've gone that far and bailed. And it can be, the cost can be super inexpensive as well, because they're it's just that little, like you said, tipping in.
Yeah. Yeah, retargeting ads are very powerful.
That's amazing. I love that. We've covered the very basics of what it takes to go from the top of funnel to the bottom of funnel, the really importance of matching your message for where people are at, and really focusing on building that connection, building that list from like all year round, all year round. The big push before a launch can get like really stressful because there's so much going on. It can get really expensive because you're sort of like testing a whole bunch of things. Whereas if you're doing it like slowly throughout the year, I feel like the costs tend to be a lot less. And you also you're fueling those custom audiences with stuff that's fresh. You're not like trying to use an ad for things you used like a year ago and use that same data, because things change over time. Whereas if you're always running those ads, you're constantly replenishing them with the most current data, which gives Facebook a better chance to find your people.
And you're learning too. I think that's something that people often forget with Facebook ads, is that it's so good for market research. So you're going to be getting such valuable data on the messaging that people resonate with. Maybe even if you launched a video views campaign with a few different videos, you'll figure out that there's actually something that people really, really resonated with, and you could turn that into a course. So it's super valuable information that you're geting.
Totally. I definitely do a lot of message testing and just testing in general with ads. Like even before, like we will sell something for different clients, we will put out ads with 3 or 4 different variations. Sometimes it's just the message. Sometimes it's actually like different courses, like you were saying, seeing what are people clicking on, because every click tells us something. And that can be, instead of like, going in the wrong direction and making a course that you're like, oh gosh, people aren't really responding to this. You already
Mm-hmm.
know. And I think that being able to use that to your advantage, and for really probably just a few dollars, that can tell you so, so, so much. My goodness, it can save you and make you a lot of money.
Yes, definitely.
Well, this has been amazing. I thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate, you sharing your genius with all of us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
And where can we find you next? I know that for anyone who's listening who wants to professionally be a Facebook ad expert, she's the lady to talk to. If you want somebody to just come in, spend a day with you and set things up and get things running and have all of those things that we were talking about, like your conversion setup, making sure that the pixel is firing properly on a particular page, so that way your website can talk properly to Facebook and trigger ads at the right time and actually set up the campaigns, because all that stuff can get really over our heads. Where can we
Mm-hmm.
find you?
So my website's loopdigital.ca. That's LOOP digital.ca. Or my Instagram handle, as you mentioned, is Leah at Loop, LEAHATLOOP. Or on Facebook, my business page name is Loop Digital Marketing Inc.
And your ad or your videos that you do are freaking phenomenal. For anybody who just
Thank
wants to
you.
spend, like, they're honestly like 1 or 2 minutes long each, and you will just be like, you'll come away with so many ideas. Like, you're just get your little notepad and watch 5 of her videos, and you will have so many great ideas that you can use in order to grow your business. So Leah, thank
Mhm.
you so much for joining me. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks everyone for joining and catching the replay. And I just want to give also snaps. This was Leah's very first Facebook Live, and she rocked it.
Thanks, Katie.
So for anybody who's looking to do your first Facebook Live, just get on there and do it. There's nothing holding you back from it. I know that a lot of people, I get messages all the time from people who are just feeling a little bit afraid, but you know what? You can come on and just be a total rock star just like Leah. So have a good night, everybody.